Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're still on the starting soon screen. Yeah, it's do you want to talk about anything for viewers that are coming in for the live feed, or do you want to just get to it? This is like the beginning before anything matters, because I'm going to cut all of this out.
Oh, okay. I don't know. What would I say to them?
I don't know.
I say, hello. I hope you were having a good Friday. The weather in Colorado is still intolerable for me because it's just so weird.
I'll be right back. I need to get something.
Cool. So, for our potential viewership, because I actually can't see if anyone has joined. Yeah, when I first moved to Colorado, I had heard that the weather was erratic. And I was from Albuquerque, where I would have considered the weather erratic as well. But now that I am here, I think Colorado trumps that.
So
Trumps out.
before we actually start the stream, let's go over the topics of what we want to talk about again, and kind of like the order.
Am I talking about setting my house on fire today or not?
Yeah. Actually, let's open with that, and then
Cool.
we'll go with that, and then I'll talk about my new house.
Oh yeah.
And all of the amazing things that are piled onto my bills, and after that, we can talk about your period of time being sick, and kind of like what you reflected from that, or what you gained from that, like experience wise, when it comes to fitness.
Yeah.
And then I'll segue that into how mental health can be helped with working out.
If you're okay with this, I actually have I feel like it might be an appropriate segue for that as well.
It's always better to have too many topics than too little.
Cool. So yeah, if you want to shoot that over to me as far as like the segue goes into mental health, I got a really good one. Essentially, anytime that I either eat something I'm not supposed to, or I'm sick, my emotions go haywire. Like I'm a mess. Like no one wants to be around this guy if I'm sick. Not just because I'm contagious or whatever, but because I'm like a weepy mess and everything makes me cry.
Well, I'm a giant baby when I'm sick.
Oh my gosh, same here. But that's why I thought like, oh yeah,
I feel sorry for my girlfriend when I'm sick. That's
wow.
Yeah.
Either way.
All right, ready to roll?
See.
All right, and the 3, the 2. Forget which one it is. Oh, we're gonna see. Is it this one? Oh shoot! I need to fix you.
Like neuter?
No.
I know that was when that came out. I'm like, I don't know how funny that one was. Sometimes my jokes aren't the best.
Can you move your webcam so you're more in the left of the screen?
Did I just do the opposite?
No. You're in the center now. Sweet. All right, cool. Okay. All right, and we're gonna go back to the starting soon screen. Yeah. And
first. Yes, I took a selfie.
How's it going, everybody? This is Tim.
And I'm Duncan.
And this is the Buns and Thighs podcast. It is a personal trainer and company production. We sell everything from PDF workouts that are amazing. You should definitely try them out. To nutrition planning. We do monthly nutrition. You're sent about 18 recipes a week, and it's new every single week. If you don't like a recipe, we switch it out. We do personal training. This is my client, Duncan, and I'm the personal trainer. And we talk about utter nonsense, and on top of that, really sciencey fitness things. And so most of this podcast is about following along with Duncan's progress of being my client and seeing where he's at. So I think I want to start doing a little segment of like stats on how Duncan's doing. So I would like to actually start that out. So Duncan, when you first, because he just learned about what volume is, which is weight times sets times reps. and his volume has increased exponentially at this point from where he started. And Duncan, can you kind of give me a little recap of from strength wise from where you are now compared to when we first met?
Oh, night and day difference. So, firstly, just a little context for why I had. I mean, maybe that's too long of a story for this, but one of the reasons why I had sought you out is because I had a back injury back in August of 2022, and it laid me flat for kind of a while. I ended up doing physical therapy starting in November, that finished in January. And I was just super disillusioned. The reason I hurt my back in the first place is because I was looking in the mirror one day saying, wow, I don't like looking like this. I'm going to go and hit the gym and, turn my life around. And then I don't know what I did exactly. And I didn't have any follow-up appointments, but that's an insurance story and that's not relevant. Anyway, God, I don't get me started on a rant about health insurance. Anyway, the main thing was after I got hurt, that put me in like a worse mood because I thought I'm in my 30s. I'm not supposed to be like immobile and hurting my back like this. Like that's something that happens when you're older. When you're older, you complain about how your back hurts all the time. Not when I'm
Hey, real
33.
quick, pause. You got some kind of weird feedback going on with your mic.
I do.
Yeah, it's like a gurgling sound.
Cool. Uh,
Well,
how's it going now?
well,
Should I can always try my AirPods and see if that.
AirPods are always better. Do you want to switch it out and then we'll
Yeah, I'm
restart?
gonna do that. Probably for the best because
All right,
I was already rambling.
I'll bring it back to the starting soon. We'll
Back
try
to
this. We'll try this again.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it again.
For anybody watching, thanks for bearing with us. I'm gonna do a mic test. Test. Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah. Actually, I should probably switch over to AirPods too. This is better for a not giant house, like living room, all ceilings kind of thing. Oh well, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Say something.
Something.
Cool. Ow. It's like borderline dad joke. Say something. Or it's a Pulp Fiction reference, in which case that's actually pretty cool.
So do you feel like this is better or no? I can
You mean
definitely
the
understand you
AirPods?
better.
That's what I was going to say. Is you tell me. I didn't realize there was a problem before. So, what do you say? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you better. All right, cool.
Cool.
All right, so let's try this again.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Hold on. What's up?
I was just going to say, are you going to like shoot the question back at me, or do I just start?
No, we're gonna restart everything.
Ah, praise his holy name. Probably for the best.
All right, and I have not hit record this entire time, so I'm gonna actually hit record.
Cool.
How's it going, everybody? This is the Buns and Thighs podcast. My name is Tim.
And I'm Duncan.
And this is a personal trainer and company production. That's a business that I own in Colorado Springs. So this podcast is about utter nonsense and fitness topics at the same time. So we don't just talk about fitness topics. We primarily do, but we may get sidetracked every now and then, especially if we're talking about anything like Batman or houses catching on fire.
Thank you, Michael Keaton being the best one of the Batman, by the way.
So the personal trainer and company.com website has workouts that you can buy for PDFs, very cheap, but very effective. Nutrition coaching that is monthly. We send you multiple recipes at a time. You tell us which ones that you do like and don't like. We switch them out until we find the perfect diet for you. And we also have different macro profiles to where it's higher protein, higher carbs, higher fat. And we also take into account diets like kosher and different dietary needs as well as diabetic. So you should go to the homepage and click services, and you'll see a whole list of everything we got going on, as well as personal training online and in person. So this is the start of the episode, and I wanted to kind of add a new segment to this podcast, which is Duncan's updates. And during Duncan's updates, we're going to track how Duncan's doing stats wise when it comes to his training and his progress and what he can do versus what he could do beforehand / could not do beforehand. So, Duncan, we just had a little bit of a technical issue, so we're kind of repeating ourselves right here. But what, how would you describe your strength level now compared to before?
It's good. When I first started with you, there's a couple of reasons that facilitated me looking for a personal trainer, and one of them was that I'd had a back injury back in August of 2022, and that was a very not humbling, enfeebling experience because I thought I'm in my 30s, like early 30s. I should not be the cranky old guy whose back hurts all the time. So I thought, I really need to turn this around. I don't just want to lose 20 pounds. I don't just want to, I don't know, thin out my face or whatever. I need to like change the structure of my body from the inside out. And so when I started with you, you were very adamant that, we need to do things right. We need to have the proper form, because if you don't have the proper form, sometimes it's easy to cheat the weights up a little bit. I always think of the like the lifter that you see at the gym sometimes who's curling the dumbbell and like, whoa, like jolts it up. That would have been me too. So I didn't really have an accurate idea of how much I could actually lift. So when I started with you, I was embarrassed by how little I could actually lift. Like, I remember so many times I would go and grab I don't know, let's say the 25 pounders, the dumbbells. And then after doing a set the way that you were instructing me to, you would say, this is the weight, let's go down to 15s. And I like beg, no, please don't. Like, I don't want to admit to being that weak. So somehow I'll just
Right
stick
in the
with the weight
middle of
that
the
I shouldn't be
gym.
able to do.
Right in
Yeah.
the middle of the gym in front of everybody. Yeah, that's it's definitely a hard time for first clients.
Yeah. So I don't really know what my numbers were back then. I don't remember, but I know that it was, in my opinion, embarrassingly low. And now it's quite a bit. I'll put it this way: I'm lifting more than I ever have been able to in my life. In fact, there are a couple weights that we've been able to hit as far as squats and bench press go, in particular, where this was like my goal, or we've even surpassed my goal. Like I thought in my wildest imagination, maybe someday I'll be able to lift that much. And here we are several months later and I'm already passing it. And I'm like, I quite like that. I like that a
You
lot.
actually never told me that. I didn't know that. Are you saying like a 45 on each side was your goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even admitting to that makes me feel kind of,
well, well, no.
noodle
I mean,
armed.
you know more now than you did
I know
then,
quite a bit more now.
and that's actually a common goal of being able to do a 45 on each side. And you were talking about one time today you did it 5x5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the improvement of the cardiovascular system?
Oh, do you mean just as far as, how do you mean?
Stamina, handling, going for a jog, things like that. Things that have to do with endurance
Oh
and
my
not being
gosh.
just crippled and a blob afterwards.
I'll,
So
I'll
remember,
put it
this is a
this way:
contrast. So describe before and after.
before and after. Um, this will be a funny little mini anecdote. Maybe that's redundant. Anecdotes are supposed to be short. But I'm a high school English teacher, and I have this one class after lunch every A day because it's like an alternating schedule. And so I live close enough that I can go home for lunch. So picture that. I go home for lunch, I come back, and I'm always like, oh, cutting it close. I gotta go up the stairs really quickly to get to my next class. I let the kids in, and even though there's quite a hallway between stairs and my classroom, I'm still panting for like minutes after the kids are arriving.
Oh no.
And I'm trying to like say hello. I always shake hands at the door, like starting with a greeting that way. And I'm like, you like, get to your seat, look at the board, there's a new seating chart. But I can't even get words out because I'm so out of breath from a flight of stairs. And we're not talking like I don't know, numerous stories. I'm like, nope, one story, and that was all it took to knock me out for several minutes. Um, contrast that to today, we did. You call them? I don't know what we call them.
I
We call
call
them
them
mountain climbers.
mountain climbers. Yeah. It's not, by the
That
way, viewers, it's not the actual mountain climbers. This is
that's why I
him
was like,
actually.
got to clarify.
Yeah, this is him actually climbing a mountain.
Because yeah, your yard has this fun little hill and decline and stuff. So today, the goal is always do 10 of those in as short amount of time as possible. I don't think I hit my record today, did I? I missed it by like 3 seconds.
Well, usually you have dogs as obstacles, and then the last one, not this one, but the last one, you didn't have dogs as obstacles, and you only beat it but you only passed, like, your time was 5:51 for 10 rounds without the dogs, and then with the dogs today you did 5:54.
Cool. So, for context for the viewership, essentially, here's what it is like. And this is kind of the point that you would make. Because at first I couldn't figure out what you were doing by not putting the dogs inside. But you had said like it's a different, not skill set, but it's a different
Energy system.
Energy system.
Yeah.
To like, instead of going up the hill, around and down 10 times, now you're kind of stopping and going because those damn dogs, I love them so much, but those damn dogs get in the way. And so it's a bit of a jolt, and it's a lot of fun. Your dogs, there's Princess and there's Studley. Studley was ornery today. He was getting in the way much more than usual, picking up the slack because Princess was too busy chewing the soccer ball. But today I did like 7 of those in a row, then
3
had to stop for a little breather.
That was a record, by the way. You've never done more than 6 in a row before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
cool.
I think 5 in a row, and then today you did 7.
Oh, cool. Well, I did 7 in a row, then took a little breather of, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, and then I got back and finished it. And truth be told, I was panting after that, like, doing the pregnancy breathing, that. But
compared to the first time that you attempted that.
Oh my gosh! First time I felt like, okay, is the session done? Like
you had to stop after 3. You had to stop after 3 rounds.
Oh crap! Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well. My selective memory, I guess. But yeah, I'd say it still took me several minutes to recuperate. But then after that,
you saw that Studley went inside, and you're like, "Now's my chance," and you took off.
Yeah.
So. Basically, what I'm getting at is, do you realize that that's only the 6th time we've done that?
Like I said, selective memory really is only the 6th?
Yeah, maybe not even. It is, if you were to just murder yourself out there, you still wouldn't be at the level that you're at right now. Cardio, when done correctly, is actually a lot easier than people think. It's push yourself slightly. That's it. Push yourself slightly. And then when you start to breathe too heavy, it's time for a break. And then, but everyone's like, no, you gotta muscle through it. You gotta think through it. Distract yourself. You gotta go until you throw up. And that's really not at all healthy for you, and it does not give you the results that you want. We're basically, I created a system where we're only doing about 10 minutes of cardio, and you're improving every single time because you're not doing too much. You're just doing a level that's slightly challenging, just slightly, and then you're stopping whenever you want. The whole thing is timed, but your breaks aren't timed, and that's what matters. And so, so basically, you're doing a version of HIIT, the correct version of HIIT, and you're not timing your breaks, but you're seeing that session after session, your body has changed to where those breaks are shorter. You took the shortest break I've seen you ever take today. Your breaks.
I wanted to beat my record.
Yeah, Yeah, that's the. I don't want to tell you this, but I'm gonna like. Actually, the timing, the time doesn't matter. It just creates a construct. It's you actually doing it that matters. But the session after session, you're improving, and it's getting like it's getting it feels the same, but that's because you're improving and you're beating your time. But it feels the same each time, and so as it's feeling the same, your performance is getting better. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so now you know how to reference between I'm gonna go for a run, and then you go for a run, and you're just like you're dying on the side of the road. You're like, this is for the fat loss. This is for the Instagram. I can do this. No, that's not the right mindset. You go for a walk first, and then you go into a jog, and then you go for the run, and then you're like, okay, heartbeat's starting to get a little too high. I'm getting a little out of breath. Time to go back to that walk, and then you go for it again. Not trying to push yourself too hard, but letting your body do its work after the workout because it's going to try to conform to making that experience better through adaptation. And so, whenever you go to do it again, you can do if you were to do and if you were to try to shoot for your first time, which was 8 minutes and like 22 seconds, you would feel like it's leisurely. You would feel a decrease in effort, even though it was hard for you to do it the first time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this entire time, you're not like murdering yourself. So that's definitely a cardio concept that I want to get across to people because like the way that people sell it, like they're like, back when I used to work at Lifetime, our PT desk was right next to the group fitness classroom, and I just hear like moms coming out of there. It's like, oh my god, my back is out of my back is shot and my knees are shot, and I'm just so out of breath. I need to go lay down afterwards. But that was such a great session. I'm like, are you what? Like,
Yeah.
Susan, go lay down and sleep.
But I think that's I mean we talk frequently on this podcast about like cultural norms and things like that. I think that's something that a lot of people have is this idea that if you're not this close to death, then your workout wasn't effective.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, I'm glad we debunked that. You helped me debunk that.
Yeah.
That was my approach too.
I was about to ask.
Yeah,
were you there? Were you at that? Were you in that mindset?
Oh, absolutely. Like if I wasn't hurting or dragging my feet by the end of the workout, I was beating myself up because I thought I should have done more. It wasn't effective. It must not have been effective because I don't hurt yet.
Right. It's the cycle and recycle of the same activity and the same effort. It should feel the same every time. Like lifting. Remember when I added those plates today and I did a few squats and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That felt the same for me as when I first started with 135. I was a strong dude whenever I first started already, just from like I was basically my dad's field worker, and I had like 17 chores all outside, and it was lifting heavy stuff. I've always been a big dude. Not all of it was muscle, as I've told you, and but when I first started, I started around 135 on a squat, and that was when I was about 17. I also played football, and that helped as well. But that felt the same as when I first. Well, not the same because I have more prowess now and I have more connection. I'm obviously doing it, but I'm not putting any more effort. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have more muscle. They're all sharing the same amount of percentage of load, and it's the per cubic unit. It never changes. You add muscle. It's like more friends helping lift a heavier object, and so each individual feels like they're doing the same amount of effort.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so that's kind of I did not actually mean to get into that into fitness in the very beginning, which not a bad thing, but I do believe you had a story to tell.
No. Okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad you prefaced at the very beginning of the podcast how we talk about like nonsense or foolishness because There was, I don't even remember how this got. Oh, here's how it got brought up. Because you and I went and did cardio during my session. I think it was last week, maybe the week before. And we were going around your neighborhood, and I saw this it looked like a centipede. Well, it was a centipede. I don't know if it was a real one or a plastic
Oh
prop
yeah,
one.
I
Either
think that
way,
was a prop one actually. I remember what you're talking about.
good, because real centipedes should not exist. They are the devil. Oh God, centipedes. So I told you, actually, you haven't heard this story, so you only have kind of the vaguest conception of this. So back in Albuquerque, we get we get big centipedes. Like, have you ever seen a centipede?
Yeah,
Like in person?
I've seen a centipede. I'm from Florida, man.
Okay. Oh, do
Florida
they got them down there?
Florida is the Australia of the United States.
Oh God, is it?
Yeah,
Ugh. Well, it used to be that sometimes when you're a little kid, you're digging in the dirt and stuff, and you find these centipedes, and they're just itty bitty, maybe a couple inches long, and Mama tells you, "Oh my gosh, those are poisonous. You need to kill them," and so you kill them, and then you grow up and you realize through experience that there are centipedes that are like a foot long.
there's
Those
centipedes
are
larger than
horrifying.
that.
I know, but those should remain in nightmares or
Yeah, Australia.
literature or Australia. Yeah.
Keep them in Australia.
So
We don't want them. I have a
so
zebra joke that I want to tell you afterwards. Go
a
ahead.
zebra joke.
Yeah. Australia, the whole Australia talk reminded me of it. But go ahead.
Okay, don't forget that. But anyway, so here goes. So in Albuquerque, oh, by the way, you're gonna want to bring this up or at least connect this when you're talking about your house and that whole process. But in Albuquerque, I was a homeowner, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and my mortgage was $950 a month. Colorado folks, can you imagine that? And it wasn't like a Cracker Jack box. It was, it wasn't a big house, but it was still a decent sized house. So back at that house, it got kind of windy up there, especially I lived in what's known as the West Mesa, and so it got windy. So I go outside after a windstorm and I see that my trash can, like my trash bin and my recycle bin, have toppled over. Okay, so I pick one up and I pick the other one up, and there is the foot long centipede. Ah! I think I was barefoot too, because I mean, it's not like I was going out with the expectation that I was going to come in contact with Satan bug. So I see that
Satan bug.
now that it has been exposed, it's like squirming, which is the most horrifying looking thing. Oh God, even just I'm like getting chills thinking about it. God, those
Creepy.
things are so
I
disgusting.
think they're the definition of creepy crawlies.
Oh, absolutely. Like, oh, do you remember that toy from the 90s? It was like the boy version of the Easy Bake Oven, except it was creepy crawlers, and you would make like spiders and centipedes and stuff.
Oh, those.
But like,
Did you know those got recalled
oh no.
because they were actually killing children? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Apparently, like
whoops.
they were like drinking the fluid straight and all that. Yeah.
Well, that's bad parenting. So, or there's probably lots more to it than that, but still. Anyway, so centipedes. So I open up or I pick up the recycle bin, centipedes there, start squirming. I'm on the side of the house, and so I'm thinking, and I'm barefoot, so what do I do? Even if I had shoes on, I wouldn't step on that thing because I'd be horrified of like missing, and then it crawls up my leg and into my feet. So I had a stack of bricks on the side of the house. So I went and just grabbed a brick and dropped it on the thing. And I didn't land it completely on the damn centipede. So I got one half, and the other half is now squirming like crazy
Ugh.
because it's not happy
I'm
about
starting to
what
get
I
the
just
creepy
got.
crawlies.
I know, right? So I am trying to think quick. What do I do? And then I remember a student of mine once said that they used to like put centipedes in jars and then like light them on fire. And I remember asking, like, why would you do that? He says, that's
Hold
the only
on.
way to actually kill them.
Side note: children are saying that they put centipedes in jars and lit them on fire.
Yeah, I come from Albuquerque. So
Okay. All right. Just moving on. Not going to question
yeah,
that whatsoever.
I I don't know what to tell you on that one. I guess children are fearless and parents are non-observant in some
I
regards.
mean,
So
back in my day, me and my brothers used to make bamboo bow and arrows and with rubber bands, and we braided rubber bands like meticulously until it was like a cord, and and then we attached it to both sides of like I'm talking like 5 feet long curved oak bow or something like that, or an oak branch. And so we made like Legolas bows and arrows, and then we found this bamboo shoot patch that was around. We had a bayfront over in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, and bamboo grew over there. And it was perfect width for like arrows, and so we actually flexed them, and we put um, like cards, like a deck of cards. We had card cutouts for the feathers, and we sharpened the front into points. And I threatened my brother one time because he was doing something. I don't know. I think I was like 13, and he was like 9, and he or 10, and he said something. I was like, "I'll shoot you," and I was not intending to, but it slipped, and it literally sunk a hole straight into his rib cage underneath his heart. And
you're a monster.
well, the thing is, he tried to shoot me and missed earlier, and so I was just doing back. I didn't actually mean to shoot him because I was holding it back hard. I was like, "I'll do it," as like this little kid, and I'm just like, and then it just slipped and it flew true, dude, and it almost killed him. And I was like, "Oh my god!" And so we plucked it out, put some dirt in it, and I got a Band-Aid, and then I got 17 more Band-Aids, and then it was all good. But yeah, no, I'm not questioning kids being stupid and dangerous, but
but I think we learned a valuable lesson. One, I need to not be so judgy about parenting because kids are much more durable than we give them credit for. You can shoot them with an arrow, apparently. Oh God. Anyway, so I drop a brick on it, and I think about the kid who said that they used to light them on fire and put them in the jars, and he says that they scream, which is a horrifying notion. But I didn't think about that one. Yeah, apparently centipedes scream. So
that just sounds demonic.
No.
All right, let's go.
I run to the garage and I get a gas can, whatever I used for like the lawnmower or something. And so I dump some gasoline on the guy, and I tip it, and obviously it drips a little bit. Come back to that.
Wait, how much gasoline did you put in the jar?
I didn't. It wasn't that much. I don't think it was a spritzing.
Okay.
I moistened.
I was gonna say, did you put like 2 inches of gasoline in the jar, and then you're just like, this should work?
Oh, I didn't even. What?
Puts a little match in there, blows your eyebrows off. That's why you're bald.
You're a bully. But no, there's no
I'm
jar
also
in my
bald.
scenario. The kids are the ones who had the gumption to put them in the jars. I wasn't going to touch the damn thing. It was still stuck under half a brick or half.
Oh, right. The kids had the jars. Sorry, go ahead.
So I just poured the gasoline right on the concrete, and like I said, tilt it up, put the gas can further away. I get a match. I don't think I owned those like clicky lighters back in those days. I liked matches because it always feels a little extra dramatic to, do that.
Instead of
so click. I did that.
Not working.
Yeah. Click, fire. Instead it's. So I get my match and I drop it. And it ignites, makes that awesome roaring sound. And I'm watching the centipede still squirming while on fire. And I'm feeling very gratified because my physical safety is no longer compromised. But remember, I tilted it and a little bit dripped out, the gasoline dripped out onto my wall. There's a brick wall, so it's not like, either way, I'll get back to that. But, so picture that. The fire is going, the centipede is squirming. He didn't scream. I'm glad for that because I would have had nightmares. But while the fire is going, a breeze kind of pushes it a little bit closer to the house, and the little drips that were on the wall now catch fire. So there is a fire going up my wall. And I'm starting to think, wow, I am the dumbest person I know right now. By the way, I have a master's coming in handy for me when I do stupid stuff like set my house on fire. So I freak out even more, and I'm having to think quick because I'm like, okay, I have a hose in the front yard, not long enough to get over here. I have a hose in the backyard. I don't know if it's long enough to reach all the way over here, and I don't want to test that theory and find out that it's wrong. I need to do something else. So This is like the dog run area. So I open the gate into my backyard, and there's a bucket there. And I knew there was a bucket there because apparently I like lighting things on fire. I had a fire pit, and I always, use the bucket to put out the fire pit. This time, bucket is empty. I'm like, God damn it. So I take the bucket, I scoop up some dirt. It's the only thing I could think to do. And I start just heaving dirt onto my house, hoping that
Honestly,
it puts
that's
out
a good
the fire.
idea.
I know, because it did. It worked. It put out the fire. And then I dumped the dirt onto the centipede. And then I went and filled the bucket up with water because I figured I had enough time for it at that point. I did. The house was no longer on fire, thank God. And then I, rinse everything off and I dump it onto the concrete. And the centipede is still alive. I don't even understand that. I've crushed it, like half of it, with a brick. It's been on fire for a solid minute or 2 minutes or something like that. And it lived. I don't remember what I did.
And it's cut in half.
Yeah. Half of it is crushed. The other half is wild. God, they're like the worst, most disgusting things ever. At that point, I just went inside, grabbed a can of Raid, and then emptied the damn thing on.
That should have been the first reaction. That's all I'm gonna say.
But when you see Satan bug, logic and reason go out the window, and you got to go straight for the fire.
Kill it with fire. Gotcha.
You got to kill it with the fire.
I can see that. I can see where you made that connection. Well, speaking of houses, I just closed on mine. I just bought a house. Yeah. Yep. And like I've told you before, but for the viewers, I'm now a homeowner, and it feels the same. But I am excited. We haven't actually moved into that house yet. Where we bought an extra month of rent in the house that we're renting from, and we're gonna slowly move over the next 30 days. And it's been a long time coming. Like I honestly, I was sitting at the gas station. I was like, right from they called it the table, and my realtor referenced the table multiple times. And I'm just like, I'm imagining. She's like, "Oh yeah, when we go to the table, we'll make sure that we mention that." I'm like, "All right, so this table, I'm imagining is like you go into like a barber shop and they're like, "Oh, you're here for the table?" "Yes." "Okay," and then they bring him into the back, and there's this dude with like a fedora and like a very large man standing next to him. He's like, "So, you want to buy a house?" He has like a cigar.
Cigar and whiskey.
Yeah. He's like, I think I got a few houses. Like, let's do some business. But no, it was just three ladies sitting around the table, and we signed about 1 million documents. I don't know what half of them said. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know what more than half of them said. And she was just like, "And this is this." And I was like, "Okay." "And this is this." "Okay." I could have signed away the rights to my organs and didn't even know. So
you probably sold your
what? Well, we're obviously going to cut this out until he gets back. My audio cut out. Are you back?
Yeah, it appears to have been my internet.
Yeah,
went out actually.
That might have been what the sound quality issue was, by the way, because it sounded like a bad connection. So, anyways, what was I saying before that? What was the last thing I said?
The table, and you sold your soul because you signed a bunch of documents without reading them.
Oh yeah, and we had cookies and coffee afterwards, and today we're actually gonna get a pizza. I want to try Mod's Pizza because it reminds me of Blaze Pizza. It's like gluten-free crust, and they do all the healthy things. And
cool.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna try that out, and we're gonna sit on the floor of our empty house and open champagne, and that'll be our christening of the house. Yes, and that's that.
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh yeah.
Make sure to keep the pizza boxes. You can use those as furniture.
No, we have furniture. we're gonna be.
I know, but it's the cliche.
So, all right, what did you want to talk about fitness wise? Let's segue into that.
Oh, oh, fitness wise, let's talk about illness.
Okay.
So, yeah, this week I still didn't have a clue what it was that I had. It seemed to defy logic because I wasn't stuffed up. I didn't have like digestive troubles. I was just sore all over. Everything hurt, especially the back. Oh my gosh, it radiated in the back and the head. And I had a fever and I like clothes. It hurt to wear clothes. Like, when you lean up against something very cold and there's that kind of shock that you
Did it
get
feel
at
like you
first,
were
like, oh God,
sunburnt?
not quite sunburn, more, um, I don't know how to describe it. Well, other than that, just if you touch something cold that you weren't expecting, or like when you lean against something and you don't have a shirt on,
Just
and
hypersensitive?
yeah, there it is. So it was like that. It was freaking weird.
Hmm.
And that lasted what, like 2 or 3 days, something like that. I had to cancel at least one session. And I was also crazy out of breath just doing normal things like I woke up and I walked from bedroom to kitchen and then had to like sit down and take a breather. Like, what the hell? So, um, at least one of those days, I was completely out of commission. Like, I ended up taking a bath, which I love taking a bath. Hot water's, cute for everything. But when I was trying to get out of the bath, I realized I am like weirdly weak right now. Like it's taken every ounce of focus and effort for me to stand up from the tub. So that would not have been a good day to try exercising. But it started a conversation with you and I about, when people get sick, and I'm not talking like debilitating sick where you can't get out of bed and, we should probably call Father Richard to, read you your last rites or something. I'm talking about you got the sniffles and you're still able to function. Maybe you do have a low grade fever, but you're still able to function. And I feel like what most people do, and this is again like current cultural knowledge, is you got to take it easy. Just lay down. And if it takes a week for you to get better, then I guess you're going to be in bed for a week. And what you and I were talking about is, again, don't be stupid about it, but a certain level of activity and exercise actually is good for you when you are sick. So it's almost counterintuitive just to lie in bed
Well,
the
real quick,
entire
let's
time.
let's not use the word exercise because people are gonna misunderstand.
Oh,
Let's
what
let's
word shall
let's
I use?
movement.
Movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, move.
So, um, first, before I start on this a little bit, um, can you tell me how you felt before starting that session, where you were coming in, still kind of recovering, and how you felt after?
Oh, yesterday?
Yeah.
So I definitely was feeling perky, but low energy.
Mm.
Like my spirits were finally back up, which was nice because I don't like being grumpy or emotional. And that's how I get when I'm sick. So I at least kind of had fixed that. But as far as exerting myself, oh no, I was not prepared for that. Or so I thought. I wonder sometimes how much of that is in the mind versus how much is, actually physical capability.
A lot.
But regardless, I know, regardless, I showed up for my session yesterday and I wasn't completely recovered. My back was still hurting. And I knew it had nothing to do with injury. I knew it had something to do with being sick because, like, I didn't do anything to my back. It's just radiating for some reason. And so at the beginning of the session, it was probably pretty slow going, me getting into whatever we worked on. We worked on mobility, I'm pretty sure.
Can you go into the
But
specifics of
I
what we worked on?
sure, I'm trying to remember. uh, I seem to remember doing the splits or trying to something about the splits. Oh, we started with like the side squat or
we
what is it called?
we started with the squat.
Okay. Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
did
the
start with the
assisted
squat
squat.
and
I call them gorilla squats because you're holding the bar and squatting down, kind of helping you relieve your body weight.
oh yeah. Okay, thank you for the reminders. So started with that and I believe that went okay, but once we had attempted to do like regular squats, I don't know if that's happening today. So, but doing that and at least having that support was good. And then after that, then did we do the side squats?
Yeah, the entire time, every single thing that we did, we were working on mobility. We weren't working
Very
on
good.
we weren't working on anything but mobility and stability. We weren't trying to lift weights. And I told you repeatedly, I was like, hey, today we're not trying to break down any muscle fiber. We're not trying to get stronger. We're not trying to do anything like that. We're trying to work on mobility and form only.
Mm-hmm. Is that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that just activation then, what we were doing, like activate and get the blood flowing to certain areas of the body?
You could call it that. Yeah, it's more
And
of
I will.
yeah, it is activation, and really I would call it stimulation, but same thing.
Okay. So yeah, then we moved on to the side squats. Then we worked on some kind of splits technique. Again, it was almost, I don't want to say it was like a yoga session because I've done yoga before and it was not quite that, but it felt like a lot of that. Just like we're going to put ourselves in a certain position and move the body in this direction and increase mobility, increase, I almost said stretching, but that's not the right word.
Stability.
Stability. Thank you. And it was, I don't want to say it was a low key session. I mean, it certainly wasn't like today where it was like, stack the weights on and okay, give me 5 squats and then, when you're ready, we'll do 5 more.
Honestly, I think
But,
that's the more low key.
oh, really?
Yeah.
But all I know is that by the end of the session, I was feeling fine. Not particularly like energized, but like stable.
Yeah. And did you feel like I wore you out at all?
I don't know.
Okay. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because when you don't do anything for like 10 days, right, or even 15, sometimes sicknesses can last for a while, and it's not exactly the movements that are making you feel better, but the lack of movement is making you feel worse. And so when you when you're inactive and you're used to being active and you're inactive, you start to regress a little bit, and you can take a week off if you want to. You can take every fourth week you can actually take off and you'll have the same amount of results. But the dangerous thing about that is mindset. Some people, it's hard for them to come back once they take a week off. But when you're sick, you can you can not do anything and you'll be recovering, and that's fine. And you're sleeping, and that helps recover from a sickness and all that. But then on the 10th day, you're like, yeah, I'm starting to feel like I'm part of the couch. I'm starting to feel like I'm slowing down, and you literally are. Your metabolism is slowing down, even though you're fighting off an infection. And so getting up and doing something that is non-immune evasive, so non-immune dropping, is very beneficial. And I know that you weren't at 100% yesterday. Today you seemed like you were, but yesterday
It's been good today.
Yeah. Yesterday, you did not seem like you were at 100%. So we didn't do any weights whatsoever, except for a few push-ups at the end. We didn't. Well, that was only just to check your form. All we did was work on your mobility from the sternum down, and definitely took the opportunity to teach you a few new tricks, like the 90-90s. Yeah, those are my favorite, because it's basically you're curling yourself up into a pretzel and you're just like but it also gave me a good idea of where you were mobility wise, and so afterwards your blood was flowing. You were doing stretch flexes, so you were flexing a muscle to help stretch another muscle, and it's all it all came together as sort of a, hey, I'm still an athlete. I would like to talk about that, by the way. With the realization that we had before, about you having the mindset of you are now an athlete. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about that?
That, yeah, that was a very interesting conversation because I think I no, I laughed when you said that. Like, Duncan, you're an athlete. No, I'm not. I've never been an athlete in my life. I'm the fat kid. I've always been the fat kid, and yeah, it's friggin' ace. Since like second or third grade, I remember Jeffrey. We were at a swim meet because I was in the Cub Scouts, and I got out of the pool and he went, "Ew, Duncan, lose some weight." So like again, since I've been a kid, I've always just thought of myself as the chubby one. So, and I think the mindset flip that we that we were talking about is moving from I'm a fat person who is currently experiencing a lucky break to no, I'm an athlete. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm a gym shark. I don't know what to call them. That's a I don't know if I quite believe it yet, which I hate to admit that, but it's definitely an interesting idea that the way that you think of yourself will generally guide what you are willing to try and how far you are willing to go towards results. If you think that you're a fat person who is incapable of achieving certain results, then you're probably right. What is that phrase? Like, whether you think you can or you think you can, you're right. I feel like
Actualization.
that, huh?
Actualization.
Yeah, that.
It's
So I think
self actualization.
so. I think that's going to be. Hopefully, I can get over it quickly, but that's definitely going to be a hurdle for me to be able to wake up in the morning and say, "No, I am an athlete," and I'm going to look in the mirror and go, "But I'm pudgy, and look at this. I don't look like an athlete." Well, you don't yet, but you're doing the work of the athletes, and I'm learning not just form and technique and that, but I'm also learning about muscle groups and how the body is interconnected and things that are making me a more seasoned, I don't know, I'll call it a physical specimen. How about
Athlete.
that? Athlete. Yeah.
So the reason why I brought that up the other day is because we were talking about your dietary habits, and you were telling me that one of the problems is the decisions you make, the split decisions that you make between food choices and snacking, and
Oh, yeah.
what food choices that you are drawn to. And I was telling you, like, hey, you're an athlete now, and you have to realize that all food, while all of it can be enjoyable, all food right now revolves around your workout, whether it's feeding your workout or it's because of your workout to feed muscle growth, or for multiple other reasons. Like, I want to feel good, so I'm going to worry about my micronutrient profiles. I want to gain
Mm-hmm.
muscle, and I just wrote a whole blueprint for gaining muscle for my entire body, and so I need to during the workout, and so I need to order material, which is eating, and have the right materials in place so that my muscle can build, and all of the blueprints don't go to waste, and then I end up overtraining because I didn't eat. And so it the workout is at the center of your nutrition right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that is the mindset of an athlete. And I was telling you that I know it's hard, especially transitioning from being the mindset of I'm a fat person, or I'm unhealthy, or I'm an average Joe, so I'm going to just eat whatever is fine. I'm just eat without direction, to all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden having direction and being like, my workout is the center of my nutrition pyramid, and I need to figure that out. And that is the mindset of an athlete. And you were telling me the difficulties that you were having. I was like, Duncan, you're an athlete now. Like, you need to have the mindset of an athlete. I need you to wake up every day and say, all right, I am an athlete, and it's a lifestyle. It's a personality trait. This is one things that I think is okay to actually wrap a personality around, because it literally is a positive and um, bettering kind of attitude towards yourself, because it's self-care. It also teaches you other things like determination and understanding for others and things like that. And so having this as a personality trait and as a like North Star in your life, that is what I am working on you with mental fitness wise, and I think we're getting closer.
I hope so.
So,
I don't know if this counts as a win this morning, because like avoiding something bad is not necessarily the same as doing something good. Well, I guess I did something good. Anyway, I was on my way to, there's a place in town called the French Kitchen, and they have quiche. And I thought, I can justify this. It's egg. And I think there's like a vegetable or two in there. So I was on my way. And then I went, nah, because I have a session today and I'm pretty sure there's other stuff in the quiche that's going to make me not have the best time. So I came home and ended up just
if you
cooking a couple
ever
of eggs with
wonder, send me an ingredients list and I'll look at it and let you know.
Oh, it's the French Kitchen. Everything's made with butter, cheese, and sugar and whatever. I mean, maybe not the quiche made with sugar, but I will do that.
Yeah, so because quiches aren't bad. Quiches are egg, cheese, and peppers, and sometimes what, kale and spinach or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quiches are fine.
Depends on where you go.
Depends on where you
guarantee...
go. It depends on the oil that's cooked on. It depends on a few things. So yeah, you're right.
Like,
I would like to see an
there's a coffee
ingredients
shop
list.
in town. Oh yeah, but there's a coffee shop in town actually that they have a quiche that I guarantee is probably pretty darn healthy, just based on the stuff they put in it. But the place I was going to, it's decadent, like
Gotcha.
cream and all the good things that I don't want because I'm an athlete now.
Well, yeah. The thing is, you need to replace it with something that is just as, so that you're not.
We talked about that.
Yeah. You're not taking away any kind of. You're not taking away, a level of dopamine in your life. Instead, you're replacing it with something healthy and keeping that level of happiness in your life. Does that make sense? You can't be your own Hitler. You can't be a dictator to yourself. You gotta be more of like the caregiver who is like
Gandhi. Gandhi, not Hitler.
Like a child wants something. It's like, I want chocolate. And we're like, all right, well, no. But how about this? Instead of chocolate, I'm going to make your favorite sandwich. Are you hungry? No, I just want chocolate. Okay, well, instead of your sandwich, we're going to make avocado ice cream together. But you don't tell them it's avocado. We're just going to be like, all right, we're going to make ice cream together. Use avocados instead of everything else. And boom, it tastes really good. And they're like,
can I do that, by the way? If you have a recipe, send that my way.
Oh, yeah, avocado ice cream is the bomb.
I totally want that now.
So, I kind of want to. Speaking of like mental health, I wanted to talk about how fitness affects depression and other forms of mental. Let's call them depravities, not depravities. Mental bad moods. Let's put them that way. I know that's making light of depression, but it's, you know what I'm saying, negative mental states. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, there was.
All right. So when it comes to depression, nobody wants to work out. When they're depressed, they don't want to do anything. And I'm pretty open about me being bipolar. I'm bipolar, and there's chronic depression in there as well. And one of the best things that I do is go and do a few bicep curls, or go and do a few deadlifts. Something not a workout that I don't enjoy. So for like you, not push-ups. But you do seem to enjoy the rows, and you do seem to enjoy deadlifts. And so when it comes to mental depression, there is numerous studies, proven studies. I'm talking repeated studies by the hundreds that before you should ever go to a doctor for depression, you should try resistance training. And I'm not talking about cardio, because cardio has a different effect, and it's actually negative. Resistance training actually helps release endorphins, dopamine, serotonin. It helps release the things that are not there causing the depression. And a lot of depression is chemical. Most depression is chemical. Some of it is environmental. But most cases of depression can actually entirely be mitigated without medication through resistance training. It's not just the chemical releases either. It's the sense of working out with resistance training has something that almost no other form of exercise has, and that is short-term goals and short wins. And so frequent short wins. And the only other thing that comes to mind that has that is gambling. So gambling has like going on the slots machine, right? You go and you're like, and then you lose. And you're like, maybe this time. But it's designed in a way that every about 100th time, it gives you about 75% of your money back. And so you're like, oh, I won. And then you keep going. And then over a span of 6 hours or 4 hours, you've spent $1,000 on just penny slots, and you have nothing because you're hoping for that chance of that big win, but it's giving you those short windfalls, those frequent and small wins, and it actually does release a certain amount of dopamine when that happens, and you start to get addicted to that feeling, and you're just like, yeah, all right. Video games is another thing that is highly designed that way, to where every so often you level up, you get that validation, you get that reward for doing a small short amount of work, and you get those small validations. Working out is also that way, and it actually, when you finish, every time you finish 5, there's a sense of accomplishment. Every time you finish a set, you're like, yeah, I can do that. I was challenging myself, and I know I can do it. And that's confirmation I can definitely do that. And then you get the big wins when you move up. And that's pretty often, especially for someone just starting out. Every single session so far with Duncan, we've been training for 6 months. Every single session, he's gone up in strength, and it hasn't stopped. And so every single session, he's getting this win, and he's like, oh, I'm stronger than I was yesterday. And we train 4 days a week, and it's the short releases of dopamine, and it's actually one of the most positive things you could ever do, because you are bettering your body while also getting these dopamine releases and these wins, these validations, these happy moments in your life that you're creating while also doing something positive. And so when it comes to resistance training and depression, I actually have a pretty close, pretty big heart for it, because there's a lot of people that are in a bad way right now, and if they were to go and do some push-ups, don't aim for the sky, do 5 push-ups, and if you can't do 5 push-ups, do 5 push-ups on your knees, and if you can't do that, then do whatever you can do. And then set yourself a realistic goal and be like, okay, I'm going to just do this. Okay, I can do that. That's awesome. But the thing is that there's this negative stigma when it comes to working out, that it's all punishment, it's all pain, it's all going to failure. It's all going and seeing what your limit is. That is definitely not what you should be doing if you're depressed. You shouldn't be doing that, period, anyways. But that's the common theme when it comes to what people think when it comes to exercising, and it's really not. I'm a lazy individual. I am, but I get up and I go and I work out, not because it's hard. It's not, and I know it seems like, oh well, you're a personal trainer and like you've been doing this for so many years. I'm like, yeah, and I've figured out how to do it where it's not hard. And it's actually pretty easy, and it's enjoyable as fuck. And so I'm a person that loves to sit on the couch, watch anime, play video games. I stream on Twitch. I love to read a book. I am not a person that actively goes and tries finding things to do. I like sitting, but once I finally figured out that I feel, because I'm bipolar, I went through these huge months of depression, and small months of none. And so, and I was also drinking and like doing other things that was negatively stimulating my like manic episodes or chronic depression. And I found out that if I was to slightly work out, just slightly, I'm talking like, okay, I'm gonna go downstairs. Like I have a home gym now, but let's say I didn't have a home gym a month ago, and so before that, I'm on my way home. I'm gonna go and stop at Planet Fitness, and I'm gonna do. I really enjoy bench press. I really enjoy it. So I'm just gonna go in there and I'm gonna do a few reps. I'm gonna leave, and that's what I did. And then, but then that did. I don't want to tell you this because you're gonna think, oh well, he's trying to trap me into working out all the time. I mean, yes, I am, but but it doesn't start like that. It does not. And if you want to keep it like that, that's fine. Where you just go in, you're like, I really don't feel like working out right now. I don't even want to start. Well, the hardest part is starting. Go in there and you take a few dumbbells that you know you can do. It's not, I don't want you to try to push yourself. You know you can do it. Like average person, let's take some 20s, right? 20s, 25s. I'm talking about the average male that's our age. And they're like, okay, I'm going to do 12 or 8, whatever. Cool, that's it. Get your butt out of there, leave. That was a win. That was a win for that day. And the positive repercussions of doing that at least twice a week is astronomical. And it seems hard to believe how much positivity comes from just doing that, but it does. And it can actually cure depression. And that is a huge, huge thing that people are not talking about, that I wish they would. Any comments? Duncan's like, me?
Not entirely. Just I don't, just because I don't know all the science that you do behind it, but it does seem to make sense that, how do I put it? Like, I guess one of the things that they say is,
can I bring up a personal topic of yours?
Sure. I'm curious what it'll be.
So since I've known you, you've had a breakup, and you were kind of down in the dumps.
Can we not talk about that, actually?
Okay, I got you. Never mind.
Got it.
Well,
only because
I'll cut
me
the section
being
out.
in the, yeah, you're good. It's only because me being in the midst of, or in the first month anyway, of a new relationship, I'm like, I prefer not to go there with it.
Okay, gotcha. Well, anyways,
Thank
fitness
you.
fitness helps people get out of depression, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring up on this tangent, is that if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling, and that is not, this is somebody that has a very close relationship with depression in my life, and ever since I have been working out consistently, and remember, I'm bipolar, and so it's like a ticking time bomb. I have been on a positive slope for about 6 months, and that is unheard of in my life. And so if I know if I'm consistently lifting weight, and it doesn't even have to be hard, it doesn't even have to be me trying to gain muscle, anything. It's just, if I am consistently lifting weights, I go down there, I do a few bench press, and then I come back up. I go down there, I kind of rotate them. I'm like, okay, yesterday I did a few bench press, now I'm going to do a few rows. So I work on the skill of the row. And so I'm not trying to actually lift heavy weights. I'm trying to get perfection with the workout, with the skill of the form. And so I do about 15 of those, and I'm like, okay, I did well. And then every now and then, motivation happens. So you shouldn't rely on motivation, but when it does happen, you should take advantage of it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling it. Let's rack it up. Let's do some squats. You know what? Let's rack it up. Let's do some more bench press. Let's rack it up. Let's do some weighted sit-ups. Like, let's do some pull-ups. And after about 2 hours, I'm like, woo, that was a great workout. And then I feel great the rest of the day. And I'm just like, all right, I needed that. And so, sorry about that. And then, so that is kind of that is what I'm wanting to try to get across to the viewers and to you as well, is that when you're down, honestly, the best place for you to be is in the I know this sounds meatheady as fuck, but even if you just own a few dumbbells, best thing you can do is get your mind off it and just try to lift a few weights and then see what happens. There is a night and day. Anyways, do you have any comments, Duncan? I know I cut you off last time.
No, you are fine, and I'll follow up with you about that other thing. Okay. I'm actually probably okay to talk about it. It's just
I'm cutting that out and this conversation out about it. So
cool.
Just act like
I kind of figured, because
I'm gonna ask you again.
Oh wait, not right now.
Go ahead.
What I was trying to say.
No, I was gonna say. Do you have any comments?
Session when I have a little bit of time to kind of figure out. Oh yeah, that.
I know I kind of hit you sideways with that.
That's fine. Sorry. But how about this? I do have a different example of kind of depression and exercise working, or exercise working to alleviate depression. If you would entertain that.
All right. So let me re-ask the question. So I'm done with my tangent. So Duncan, do you have any comments about that?
Yes, I do. So no, because one thing really does come to mind.
Nothing was edited out. Nothing.
Nothing, of course. It's fine. It reminds me of, like, whenever I see a public speaker going to make a speech and they take their notes, I used to look kind of down on people like that, because I thought if you're a good public speaker, you'll just remember the damn speech. But then I realized, why in the world would that be a bad thing that someone brought something there to make sure that they gave the best presentation possible? So that's why when I think about, like, you editing and stuff, and if there's a cut, it's like, whatever. You're doing the best thing to make a good product for the viewer, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
plus nowadays you have to be PC.
Oh heck yeah. So I do have an example of, maybe not exercise specifically, but activity at the very least, helping to alleviate some of the effects of depression. It's funny. Depression is one of those things that I think a lot of people don't like to talk about, because especially, hope this isn't polarizing, but especially men, because they don't want to appear weak.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we don't want to appear weak. And it took me a while to actually want to talk about being okay with me talking about being bipolar. But I realized how messed up everybody is. And so I'm like, oh, okay. At least I know, you know?
So my battles with depression have been, one, kind of with me for the long haul by this point, but also very much kept in secret, because I could already hear people saying, oh, Duncan, you're not depressed, you're just XYZ, you're just melancholy, you're just this, you're just that, and, don't be a pansy, real men, you suck it up and just push on through. And so I was like, yeah, damn right I will.
I ate nails for breakfast without any milk.
What was that, bro? That's a SpongeBob reference.
That's SpongeBob.
Yeah, I love SpongeBob. But so I would, like, show up in front of everybody and, be gregarious. And then when I was home alone, that's when I, be in, like, a corner being like, my life sucks, nobody loves me, that type of thing. And I say it flippantly, but that was actually the big deal, especially my probably most profound battle with depression was the month of quarantine, because I kept myself insanely busy. Like, my parents would even remark on that quite frequently, like, so Duncan, do we get to see you? Can you pencil us into your schedule? That type of thing. Maybe they weren't quite that snide about it, but it's true. I was always on the go. And suddenly quarantine hits back March, 13th, 2020. And I'm stuck at home. And I live alone. And for the first week or so, I actually did just go down my phone contact list and just called up a bunch of people, like, hey, Pedro, I haven't talked to you in a while. What's new? And once I kind of maxed that out.
You look at your phone like, all right, so how many friends do I have?
Exactly.
One.
But then something occurred to me is that, I'm the one reaching out. No one reaches out to me. but it got like stuck in my head where I was like, oh my gosh, am I too needy? Am I too um burdensome on people? If I don't reach out to them, I guarantee no one's going to reach out to me. So I played this little game with myself where I just didn't reach out to anybody, and I kind of kept this counter in my head where I thought, I'm going to see how many days it takes before someone even tries to, engage or initiate communication with me. And it was several days, and it doesn't sound like that long. It was just a handful of days, but by the end of it, I really was just, I couldn't seem to get myself out of bed. I hate to admit that I'm a crybaby. I cried quite a bit actually, just because I was like, no one needs me. What am I even doing? And again, it sounds odd to say now because I'm able to say things with a little bit more clarity. But at the time, it just felt crippling. Like, what am I even doing on the planet if I'm so useless that none of the people who I thought enjoyed my presence feel necessary to engage with me. So I think it was like a solid week of me essentially just sitting at home alone. And I wasn't like occupying my time doing anything even wrote. I wasn't like watching movies or YouTube. I probably listened to music because, that's my thing. But picture just like 4 or 5 days of silence staring at the phone. One, that's kind of creepy. Two, I mean, if you are currently suffering from depression, it's not like logic and reason and rationality are your strong suits. But finally, on like the fifth day, I decided, you know what? I, one, need to get out of the damn house. And two, I need to reach out to somebody. So I called up my best friend finally and was like, why didn't you reach out? And then I felt like a petty bitch. But that's not the point. The point is, I lived by a place called the Petroglyphs. So it's on the West Mesa, it's in Albuquerque. And I went out to the Petroglyphs and I just went for a hike. And it was weird, night and day difference from the lowest levels of shit that I had been feeling for like several days on end versus, okay, I'm getting some fresh air, the sun is out, and I'm exerting myself to a somewhat appropriate degree. And suddenly it started to occur to me like, I've been acting like a crazy person for the past like 5 days. And that's not to like put myself down, but it is also to say that I very clearly was not in a good headspace, but a certain degree of activity was able to get things flowing in such a way that I could regain touch with reality, we'll call it.
Yeah. What do you think caused that?
The kind of the reality check.
No. The feeling better. Like during the walk, during the hike. What do you think caused that?
I think probably a bunch of different things. One, blood flow. Two, I'm assuming there's something hormonal or chemical that happens when you are moving, right?
It's basically just like getting out and doing a little bit of exercise. But I also want to bring up another thing. Did you know that nature is like reason why going out into nature is calming for people is because of all of the patterns that happen in nature, and the fact that our brains love to solve puzzles and recognize patterns. We go out there and there's just thousands and millions of patterns all around us, and so like we feel like we're at peace.
I did not know that.
Yeah, like everywhere. And so, especially going out and hiking, like with trees and flowers and all that, there's just patterns everywhere. And it's like it's a very calming state of mind for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So,
I didn't know that either.
Speaking of hikes, Saturdays. What do you think about doing Saturdays on the hike? For those of you that don't know, my business does a Saturday hike. For all of my clients and for the public, really, in Colorado Springs. So if you're interested, let me know because I'm gonna start them up again.
I think so.
Okay, well we'll talk about it after the podcast. All right, guys.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna cut that out too. So like I'm learning to be a little bit more relaxed with the recording because I can edit anything out. And also the viewers, I want to reward the viewers on the live streams that are actually watching, with a little bit more of like a personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they get to see the behind the scenes stuff too.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what. Since we're talking about the podcast, I really like doing this podcast, and not only is it kind of like a recap of our sessions, but it's also I don't know, it makes me think of things that I normally don't think of in session, because I'm thinking more of like the general public.
Yeah. I mean, I think I lost where that sentence is going. I agree because we have a certain context whenever I'm going over for a session, but whenever we're starting to explain things here
Like it's a paid
where
hour
context
on
is
your time.
necessary,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, so that little thing, we got to figure out how to break that down a little bit and where was that going and why was this a part of the conversation? And yeah.
Do you feel like having this being on the podcast also kind of helps you as a client as well, like in your learning process?
Yes, because I think we both know that there are times where you're explaining things and I'm nodding. And I'm not doing it to be dishonest, but I really am like, yeah, I get it. And then the second I leave, I'm like, crap, I don't remember anything we talked about. Maybe not anything or everything I lose, but a fair amount probably does not stick. So this allows the opportunity to kind of reshape it and re-stick it.
All right, let's end the podcast there. I'm going to I just clicked the ending screen for the first time. We're going to start doing that from now on. Yeah, that's it. Do you have any other comments you want to add before we end the podcast?
I'm pregnant.
No, what?